This is, and then
whatever, a blue ribbon or whatever they get.
it's like,
Is that from the township? Or somebody else?
no, it's an outside organization and it's for environmental stewardship and leadership.
So somebody from that organization perhaps?
I'm not sure how to do it, or Jim to discuss it.
You're rich?
I feel like I'm perched on this chair. It's not too high.
Well, I feel like I'm beached.
See if there's all left for lunch. I'll just sit over here and apologize.
Anything that is new, non-smoking tobacco.
Yeah.
Battery dead? It's flashing.
I can talk really loud. This one's flashing too. I wonder if there's an.
Welcome, everyone, to the 13th session of council this Monday, June 26th. In-person meetings have resumed with a hybrid format option where members of council and the public can still join electronically via Zoom. The meeting is being live streamed and recorded and will be available on the township website. All rules apply to the meeting as if everyone was attending in person, and if there is a problem with the technology impacting the proceedings of a meeting, the meeting may be recessed at the direction of the mayor to confirm that the electronic format is performing effectively before proceeding further with the agenda. In the event of a connection or service disruption to those attending electronically, the mayor may recess the meeting to allow for attempts to reconnect. So this meeting was called to order at 6:30, and there was a closed session this evening before this meeting, and the purpose of the meeting was to adopt the closed session minutes from June 12th, 2023, and labor relations or employee negotiation for closed report SR 2410 ratification of QP collective agreement. And I'll read the recommendation and I'll take a mover and seconder to ratify at the end of the session. The recommendation was that the report from the Corporate Services Department, June 26, 2023, read closed session ratification of the 23-24 QP Local 2150 collective agreement be received, and that the clerk be directed to place the following resolution before council for consideration in open session on June 26, 2023, which we're doing now. The council ratified the tentative settlement reached between Loyalist Township and the Canadian Union of Public Employees, QB, Local 2150, for a renewal agreement from January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2024. And that the renewal agreement between Loyalist Township and the Canadian Union of Public Employees, QB, Local 2150, be brought forward at a later date to be executed by the mayor and clerk in open session. So with that, do I have a motion? Deputy Mayor, so moved. Seconded by Councilor Pryor. Question, all in favor, raise a hand. Motion is passed. So at this time, we will have the playing of the national anthem. Anyone who can, please rise. Please be seated. We acknowledge, excuse me, that we are being hosted on ancestral lands of the Haudenosaunee, Mississauga, and Omama. We acknowledge and welcome the presence of all Indigenous peoples, including the Métis, Inuit, and other First Nations from across this vast land, who also make this place home. The lands we are on today are recognized in the Two-Row Wampum, Dish with One Spoon Treaty, Treaty 27, and the Crawford Purchase. At this time, the next item is open forum. The first 15 minutes of any regular council meeting is set aside for open forum. An individual may address council to voice opinion on subjects of municipal concern, excluding matters subject to public meetings, i.e. under the Planning Act. Can only speak once and for no more than 3 minutes. Notice is hereby provided that under the authority of the Municipal Act 2001, and in accordance with Ontario's Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, that all information provided for or at a public meeting, consultation, or other public process are considered part of the public record. Anyone wishing to speak to council can register in advance with the clerk's division or use the raised hand option in the virtual audience when the time arises. Just looking to the clerk, I don't see anyone registered for this evening.
We have no one live registered, although we have one in the virtual.
And virtual, okay, I'll just double check in the audience to make sure. Anyone in the audience in the chambers here wish to speak under open forum this evening? Seeing none, we will go to the virtual, and we have one with the hand raised. Welcome to the council meeting. You are now in the public meeting, but you're still muted. If you unmute, you can address council.
There we go.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
You could just give your name and address and then go ahead and present your information.
Sure. Just 1 second here and there we go. I'm Lynanne Clapham, and this is, I'm representing the Back Kitchen Board of Directors. I'm a member of the Board of Directors for the Amherst Island Community Cafe, which is known locally as the Back Kitchen. First, I want to thank Council for considering our application to the Renewable Energy Benefit Fund. So that's what this is about. Our application requests funding to help us rejuvenate the outdoor eating space of the Back Kitchen. The Back Kitchen is a restaurant which is owned and operated by the Amherst Island community. It was established as a not-for-profit in 2016. It's the only restaurant on Amherst Island, and it typically operates from June until early September. Our goals are to serve good quality food, hire and train local students, promote and host local events, and support local growers. The Back Kitchen is managed by a very active board of 9 volunteers. And in addition to these, we also have teams of dedicated volunteers that do everything from mentoring and training our student staff to gathering in teams for food preparation to outdoor work and maintenance. Amherst Island is always gathered around food. Until about 10 years ago, various community organizations like the Women's Institute, the Anglican Women, the Presbyterian Women used to host dinners about once a month. The whole island would turn out to these, and this would allow you to catch up on everything that's happening in the community. But sadly, these organizations no longer have the woman power to be able to host these large suppers. They were slowly dropping off the map since about 2010, and then COVID hit. And of course, everything and everybody went underground and stayed home. But now that COVID is behind us, the Back Kitchen would like to provide an opportunity once again for the Amherst Island community to meet together around a meal. So that's really the goal of our outdoor rejuvenation project. The indoor eating space of the Back Kitchen is actually quite limited, and it tends to get quite hot in the summer inside. But the outdoor area is a really lovely, large grassy space that has a wonderful potential for being a great meeting and eating location. And once we have a very inviting and pleasant outdoor eating space for the community, we believe that this will be a destination eating spot for visitors and tourists who come to bike on the island, birdwatch, enjoy our beaches, and visit our businesses and B&B operations. So this grant request includes funding for a number of items: topsoil for leveling the backyard, mulch and native plants for creating a small native plant pathway, and a privacy fence around the back door to hide the storage and garbage area. But the centerpiece of the project is the construction of a permanent gazebo on a concrete pad. This gazebo will be able to house 3 picnic tables and to provide needed shade, but the picnic tables can be easily removed to enable performers to set up and play for an afternoon or early evening. So the Board of Directors at the Back Kitchen is very excited about the opportunity this funding will provide for our community, as well as tourists and other visitors to the island. We were very pleased that the committee recommendation to Council was to approve our application for funding, and we hope that Council votes accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that information. With this, under the open forum, council receives information, but we don't engage, but your item is coming up later in the agenda, so if you just watch a little while, you'll be able to see the outcome from it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Member Clerk, any other members in the virtual audience with the hand raised? Okay. So that concludes the open forum portion. So we have a motion to adopt the agenda. The recommendation is that the agenda for June 26, 2023 be adopted as circulated. And up to staff, no additions or modifications to the agenda. So it's as circulated. Do I have a mover? Councillor Parks, seconded by Councillor Broderick. All in favor, please raise a hand. Motion has passed. Is declaration of pecuniary interest. Does anyone have a declaration of pecuniary interest for the general nature thereof for the city's meeting? Seeing none. Delegations and presentations. We are pleased to have a presentation to the Loyalist Cove Marina in receiving their blue flag designation. Just ask. Ms. Hinton, please come forward. And I'll just going to probably best if we just do it.
Yeah,
Just
just
here.
just
It's gonna look odd because we're gonna be right in front of the screen, but that's okay.
So maybe even if you want to step up on the first step and we'll have the rest of council gathering behind. That would be- Supposed to gather.
So just before I present the certificate to her, I'm just going to give a brief statement of what presentation is this evening. So on behalf of Loyalist Township, I'd like to proudly acknowledge and congratulate Loyalist Cove Marina on the renewal of its blue flag status for the 5th consecutive year. This esteemed recognition reflects their sustainable management practices, accessibility, and high-quality services, as well as their dedication to meeting the demanding criteria set forth by the Blue Flag program. Loyalist Cove Marina proudly shares the Blue Flag designation on Lake Ontario with the Royal Canadian Yacht in Toronto. So that's only 2 marinas in Ontario that have achieved this designation, along with only 9 marinas holding this prestigious designation across Canada for 2023. That's quite an accomplishment. Loyalist Cove Marina stands as a leader in promoting environmental education, water quality, safety, and community involvement, making it a premier destination for boaters seeking sustainable practices and a high-quality experience. And on top of the blue flag status, Loyalist Cove Marina has also earned a Diamond Elite status earned from the Boating Ontario Clean Marine Program. This recognition further underscores their ongoing commitment to environmental stewardship and sustainability, showcasing their dedication to representing the Loyalist area as a responsible and eco-conscious marina. We're going to present this certificate of recognition in receiving the prestigious Blue Flag designation to the Loyalist Cove Marina. We thank you for your commitment to the environment and sustainable boating practices and for your support to our community. So,
Actually, sorry, on second thought, do you mind if I get council to come down to the Thank you. Change things up.
Here, Lauren. Sorry, 'cause
I'm going to say,
I understand.
Excellent.
and at this time, if Ms. Hinton has a few statements, I think that she wishes to make as well.
Yes, I wish to thank everyone that helped us do this. We have our committee here from the neighborhood. We have Doug Saka, who's one of our neighbors. We have Happy Christmas, who's also a neighbor and directly across from us and sees everything. And she's quite the steward for us to make sure that everything is done right. And Carla Rogers is a boater and also a local neighbor. And between all of us, we try and educate all our boaters and our staff and any visitors that come in. Everyone has to sign a piece of paper saying that they pledge to be clean and operate their boat clean and within our marina. And we hope they take this practice forth to other marinas that they go in. And so if there's anything that we can do for Loyalist Township, we know that the resilience program is up and running, and we would like to be a part of that. And we'd like to be part of the showcase and showing the world that Loyalist Township is really looking after this environment. So we're proud to be part of that. Thank you.
Just to build on what was just stated, I did have a short tour of the facility, and it is pretty amazing that the work that's gone into it, infrastructure that's gone into it, some somewhat forward thinking has been done with the infrastructure in the marina itself, as well as the stringent requirements of all boaters that are parked there, as well as the staff and any visitor. So it's really, it's great to recognize the efforts that have been done, the accomplishments that have been achieved, and we're very proud
Thank you.
that one of the 2 marinas in Ontario is right here in Highlands.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're up to adoption of the minutes of the committee of whole for June 5th, 2023. The recommendation is confirmation of the minutes of the committee of the whole, June 5th, 2023. Any particular recommendations may be singled out from the COW minutes for debate or for the separate vote upon request of council. So we have the minutes before us. Any deputy mayor?
Through your worship, I would move to adopt the minutes and the recommendations therein.
So moved, seconded by Councilor Proud. Any comments from the mover, seconder?
None.
Anyone else? Seeing none, call a question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Confirmation minutes of the 12th session, regular council, June 12th, 2023. The recommendation is that the minutes of the 12th session, regular council, June 12th, 2023, be adopted as circulated unless there's errors or omissions noted. Any errors or omissions? It would be as circulated then. Do I have a mover? Councilor Innes, seconded by Councilor Lewis. Any comments from the mover? Seconder, anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is passed. Community hub naming rights. I'll just give staff a minute to come forward. Thank you. Is there any further information beyond the report, or just here to answer questions if there are? Nothing to add. Thank you. Council, any questions for clarification before we look at the motion? Councilor Pryor.
I just more of a comment, or I guess a question. So when we go through this whole process, we'll be looking at other centers and what they have done, or have you already done that?
Through your worship, this process is being based largely on a similar process that the city of Edmonton followed for a citywide approach. So they were looking at multiple facilities over a 10-year period. So we're taking that and scaling it down to what we're looking at doing. But we will do some other due diligence research as we move forward to see what else has been done to get ideas of what can be reasonably expected and what fair negotiations could entail.
And through your worship, I could just follow up one other. I guess my only concern, I always get concerned about long-term deals in terms of, I was a principal at a school where somebody put a score clock in. It was a 50-year contract or something ridiculous like that, but the school's closed now, so it doesn't matter. But are there safeguards against something, in terms of some kind of agreement, and then something comes to air that maybe puts that company or whatever in disrepute? Would there be something like that in any kind of negotiations?
Through your worship, yeah, that's something we could definitely look at, including and through the advice of our legal counsel, include certain clauses in whatever agreements that are deemed appropriate to manage those risks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for clarification? Seeing none, we have the report before us. The recommendation is that the report from the Corporate Services Department, June 26, 2023, Community Hub naming rights be received, and the staff seek funding for the naming rights for the individual components of the facility through the public posted expression of interest, and the staff explore further opportunities for community fundraising and report back to council, and the W.J. Henderson Recreation Center name shall remain unchanged. Do I have a mover? Councilor Brubeck, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Mover, any comments?
None yet. We'll wait until we see when the report comes back.
Okay. Seconder?
Yeah, only that I concur with what Councilor Broderick said. Just, if there, I I will leave it to staff to determine, but if there's some means of trying to protect ourselves, nobody wants to be in the position of having the Jeffrey Epstein tenure, right? So whatever can be done to mitigate that potential would be handy.
Thank you. Any other member of Councilor Broderick?
Hard act to follow there. I would just say that, I'm at the generation where I can appreciate W.J. Henderson, having known him personally, and I think we need to recognize people who were sort of on the ground level of what we have now. And I know that Bill, as I called him when I was a young lad, would be pleased that, his name is still out there and that arena is still serving the community very well. I think 45 years, 45 years later.
Thank you. Any other members? I'm just going to make the comment that I concur with Councilor Broderick. And I see this as a great way of enhancing recognition, and it's all obviously a funding opportunity as well for the township, but it's a chance to enhance and not necessarily change our history, such as the name on the building. So with that, I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Violet Cemetery acquisitions. Just double check again. Any further information or just here to respond to questions if there are questions? Thank you. Council? The Violet Cemetery acquisition, any questions for clarification? Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Just one question. Is there going to be any transfer of funds in regards to this that's sort of mentioned in their, I guess, original deed?
Through the mayor to Councilor Broderick, yes, there are care and maintenance funds that the cemetery board has. And under the act, they are required to transfer those funds to the township.
Yes.
Follow up. Through you again, Your Worship, any idea how much that would be, or is that sort of to be determined?
In our initial discussions, they did provide us the amounts. I don't have them off the top of my head, but I think it's approximately about 8,000 for care and maintenance.
Thank you.
Any other questions for clarification? Seeing none, we have the report with the recommendation that the report from Clerk's Division, Corporate Services, June 26, 2023, Violet Cemetery acquisition be received, and that the request from the Emmanuel United Church to have Loyalist Township acquire Violet Cemetery located at Lot 14, Concession 5, Violet, Ontario, be received, and that staff be authorized to undertake the necessary steps to have a Violet Cemetery lands and operations
transferred to Loyalist Township. Do I have a mover? Councillor Progress, seconded by Councillor Booth. Mover, any comments?
Just the only comment is support the motion because obviously at some point it may come to us anyway, so might as well be upfront on it.
Seconder? Anyone else? I would just like to just at this point then, since the business is going to be proceeding, just to thank the trustees, which did a great job maintaining the cemetery, and local residents for their care provided to the grounds for many, many years. It's been a great, it's quite a landmark within the village of Violet, and a lot of pride in the cemetery. With that, I will call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. Renewable Energy Fund Grant Review. Just making sure I get the right portion open here. There we go. Council, any questions for clarification? Seeing none?
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, on this one, we just have one clarification on this one, sorry.
The one I didn't ask about.
I know. The other two were, if I may.
Yes,
Sorry,
please.
thank you. Just clarifying that the options presented at the beginning of the report are based on the way the applications were submitted. The recommendations from the subcommittees are included further down in the report, so just want to make sure that that was clear to everyone. Thanks.
Nodding, so thank you for that. So the recommendation is that the report from the Renewable Energy Fund Grant Review Subcommittee, June 26, 2023, Ward 1 and Ward 2-3, recommendations for 2023 grant applications intake 2 be received and the council approve, modify, or deny the following grant applications. First, Amherst View Bath Scouts Community Grant Application for $5,000 and Ward 2-3. Amherst View Lions Club Community Grant Application for $5,000, Ward 2-3. Loyalist Business Association Renewable Energy Benefit Fund Grant Application, $20,000 the first year, $15,000 the second year, $10,000 the third year, Ward 2-3. Loyalist Township Renewable Energy Benefit Fund Grant Application for $60,000, Ward 2-3. Amherst Island Community Cafe Renewable Energy Benefit Fund Grant Application, $57,837.49, Ward 1. Council, how would you like to proceed? Yes.
Through you, your worship, I don't know if it would be beneficial to go through each one
Individually?
individually.
We can do that.
Or expedite the process.
Yes. So we're going to do separation between each item with individual votes on each one. So the first will stay the same, that the report from the Renewable Energy Fund Grant Review Subcommittee, June 26, 2023, Ward 1 and Ward 2-3 recommendations for 2023 grant applications intake 2 be received and the council approve, modify, or deny the following grant applications. We'll then separate them. The first one is First Amherst View Bath Scouts Community Grant Application for $5,000 from Ward 2-3. Deputy Mayor.
Through you, your worship, I move to approve the grant of $5,000.
So moved, seconded by Councillor Booth. Comments from the mover, seconder, others? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Second portion, Amherst View Lions Club Community Grant Application, $5,000, Ward 2-3. Do I have a mover? Councillor Ennis, seconded by Councillor Parks. Mover, any comments? Seconder? Anyone else? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Loyalist Business Association Renewable Energy Benefit Fund Grant Application, $20,000 the first year, $15,000 in the second year, $10,000 third year, Ward 2-3. Do I have a
more of a point of question or
certainly
piece of interest? We did discuss in the committee of just approving the first year. I know it has to go forward as presented to us, and we can modify it now, but our discussion was just the first year.
Yes, this is one where the recommendation
Yes.
from the committee is different from
Agreed.
the
Yes.
request.
I just wanted to be chairing that committee. I wanted to let the rest of council know what our intention was there at that meeting.
Thank you. So with that, council, any recommendation? Councilor Brown.
I would recommend that, as Councilor Budrick has stated, that we grant the first year and encourage that they come back in year 2 and 3 for further funding.
And the value of the first year,
20,000 as it's stated.
let's see. So moved, seconded by Councilor Wells. Comments from the mover?
None, I think it's just, in previous situations, we've done something similar, whether it's with the radio station or something, just to be consistent and sort of get a feel from the directors of the business association after year 1, you know, where they're at and how they may proceed, et cetera.
Okay, thank you. Comments from the seconder?
Through the worship, I seconded just really for discussion because I do have some concerns with this application. The group has really existed for quite some time. It was first discussed in 2014 and never really got off the ground. And then in 2018, 2019, incorporated as a for-profit, then canceled that incorporation, but were selling ads at the time for the directory that they've talked about publishing, but nothing came of that. And now this group has newly incorporated as a not-for-profit. But my concern is we have no track record with this group showing their ability to move a project forward. No records of past monies that were collected by this group and how they have been managed. So I have a concern because for $300, any group can form a not-for-profit, and $20,000 is a big ask without even a full year where they've had an annual general meeting of their membership where they have financial statements that they can share with us. So for discussion.
Any other comments? Deputy Mayor?
Friendly amendment?
Please,
It would be considered friendly given the concerns that have been raised, which I share. I would move to amend the dollar value to 10,000.
Is that received as a friendly amendment? Mover, seconder?
Yes.
So the friendly amendment places the dollar value at $10,000. Anyone wish to speak to that? Councilor Parks.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of quick comments. I sit on that committee also, and there was some discussion about some of the concerns as to the lack of progress this company has made or this organization has made to move this forward. But we did feel it was a viable option to try to get more marketing out for our local businesses and support those. I will support the motion at the 10,000. I think that's a better value. It was one of the numbers that we kicked around at the committee, and so yeah, I'll support it.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Do it. Back to the move. Sorry, during this portion of the meeting, the public input, that was at the open forum. Thank you. I just didn't want to ignore your hand going up. Back to the mover. Any further final comments?
None.
Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? There's a hand. Motion is passed. Yeah. For Loyalist Township Renewable Energy Benefit Fund grant application for $60,000 from Ward 2-3. Do I have a mover? Councilor Booth. So moved. Seconded by Councilor Parks. Any comments from the mover?
Great initiative.
Seconder? Anyone else? Call the question. Yes.
Sorry, could you just clarify whether the motion, there was a discussion about the staff time and equipment associated with bringing some materials to the site, and I just want to confirm whether that is intended to be included in the motion or not. So that would be a transfer to the operations accounts from the renewable energy funds. And I just want to clarify, sorry.
We'll just go for clarification with the mover. That was your intent?
Yes.
Seconder?
Mhm, yep, fine.
So, yes, that was the intent. Does that satisfy need? Okay, thank you. And on the question, was I not? Thank you. Call the question. All in favor? If there's a hand, motion is passed. And let me get back up here. Amherst Island Community Cafe Renewable Energy Benefit Fund Grant Application, 57,837.49 from Ward 1. Do I have a mover? Councillor Willis, so moved, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Comments from the mover?
No, but I believe staff have a comment.
I apologize, Your Worship. My comments were with respect to this application, not the previous one. So as long as everyone is still thinking the same way, I apologize. I got ahead of myself.
Yes, Councillor Willis.
Just to respond to that, the proponent was at the meeting with the Ward 1 committee, and the answer was they were looking for 1 truckload of wood chips to be delivered from the dump to the back kitchen site.
And that was all part and parcel of this. So that's the mover, seconder, that was your intent as well. So with that, comment from the mover, seconder. Anyone else?
Yep.
Councillor Parks.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I think this is more directed to staff. The grant process does typically suggest that people should seek other sources of funding. So I guess my question is, that applies to this particular application. Like normally the policy would say that they have to find other ways to fund some of this, correct?
Through Your Worship, the policy does speak to the amount that should be looked at, and I believe it's 75% of the total cost of the project. Sure.
So within the policy under the community grant fund, so there's a maximum of $5,000 per organization, or 75% of expenditures, whichever is less. As part of the requirements under eligibility and guidelines, I believe it does state the organization must have demonstrated financial support from other sources other than public funds. So that's what the policy speaks to.
So does that
Mhm,
answer
that
the
answers my question.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Willis.
Through you, Your Worship, to staff, you mentioned that that was the community grant stream. This application is under the renewable energy benefit stream. Is it the same for both?
Through the mayor to Councillor Willis, there is no limit currently under the Renewable Energy Benefit Fund.
Thank you.
Councillor Pryor.
Just a couple of comments, Your Worship. Reading through this, and again, being a person who's not living on the island, I think it's a very important economic and social grant, and the way I look at it, especially for the young teenagers who, as it said in the report, don't drive, et cetera. And it also shows maybe in terms of the tendering, I know there was one that couldn't get a third, that there's some gaps in our own community for providing services. And I think this would be a valuable asset to Amherst Island and to Loyalist Township. And it's also more of a, I guess, a capital, or I can't use that word. It's an improvement of the facility on the island.
Thank you. Any other comments? Back to the mover, final, if any. None. Call the question. All in favor? There's a hand. Opposed? Okay. Motion is passed. You. License agreements for Fairfield Homestead Heritage Association, Nelson Store Museum. Did I miss one? I've already advanced to it and then advanced past it. Thank you. Kayak and Sup Service, Centennial Park Set. Staff, anything to add? Or just here for questions?
Nothing further, just question.
Thank you. Council, any questions for clarification? Seeing none?
Can I just?
Yes. Councilor Brown.
Through you, your worship, I have a general idea where it would be located, but do you have a specific site on that park where it would be?
Through your worship, Councillor Broderick, it would be to the west side, more towards the water treatment plant.
Okay.
We need to avoid the creek area, which is environmentally protected. So we would be working in that area with our utilities manager to make sure there's no interference with that facility.
And just to confirm again through your worship, there's no cost to the township.
That's correct.
Any other questions, clarification? Councilor Ennis.
Thank you, and through the mayor. Is this considered a pilot that if it goes well, it could possibly go to other locations in the township or?
Thank you. Through your worship, yes, the owner operator is interested if this year is successful in additional sites. We wanted to start with this specific location as it has the soft beach entry, a gentle entry. So for new kayakers and boaters, it's a bit of a safer situation than trying to stumble down rock.
Thank you.
Any other questions for clarification? Seeing none. The recommendation of the report is that the report from the Community and Customer Services Department, Recreation and Facilities Division, dated June 26, 2023, read kayak and sup service at Centennial Park South be received, and that staff be directed to negotiate an agreement with the operator for the provision of kayak and stand-up paddleboard rentals as outlined in this report, and that the agreement include the ability for the township to access the equipment at no cost for the delivery of township programming, and that the council authorize the mayor and CAO to execute the necessary agreement. Do I have a mover? Councilor Booth, seconded by Councilor Ennis. Mover?
Great idea, absolutely.
You, seconder?
It's a great partnership to get people to power.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Pryor.
I would just echo in the fact that there's only 2 in Ontario, and apparently in Sweden, it's quite the thing. And again, it provides people an opportunity to maybe try something they wouldn't. And I know from my own personal experience, carrying a kayak from A to B can be a pain, where if you can just go down and use it, put it away and not have to worry about it, I think that's a great service.
Councilor Parks.
I just want to echo what everyone else on council has said. I think this is a great initiative. Also think it's a great opportunity to utilize the park area to try to bring families out to that area. So great job.
Any other comments? Back to the mover. Call a question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Now it's the license agreement. Fairfield. Fairfield Homestead Heritage Association and Nielsen Store Museum and Cultural Center. Any additional information for this item?
Nothing further, just.
Council, any questions for clarification? Seeing none. The recommendation on the report is that the report from the Community and Customer Services Department, Heritage, Culture and Tourism Division, June 26, 2023, license agreements, Fairfield Homestead Heritage Association and the Nielsen Store Museum and Cultural Center be received, and the bylaw 2023-45 and bylaw 2023-46 being bylaws to authorize the mayor and the CAO to execute the agreements with the Fairfield Homestead Heritage Association and the Nielsen Store Museum and Cultural Center respectively be enacted and passed. Do I have a mover? Councilor Parks, so moved. Seconded by Councilor Broderick. Mover, any comments? Seconder?
None.
Anyone else? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Food cycler pilot project. Double check with staff, any additional information or just available for questions?
Just for question, your worship.
Thank you. Council, any questions for clarification? Councilor Pratt.
Through your worship, do you have any idea of the life cycle of one of these recycling units? I didn't see it in their literature. I just wonder if you had any idea on that, or if you could look it up, if you could find it out.
Yeah, through you, your worship, I don't know that at this time, so I can look that up and get back to you.
And just if I, one more.
Yes.
I guess a general question, is this sort of a long-term strategy, a short-term strategy? And do you have any data or experiences with similar size centers as ours as to the success of the program, maybe in their centers?
Yeah, through you, your worship. So this program is based off of several other pilot programs operated in Ontario. So the municipality of Dysart was the primary one, but there was another local one, I believe it was Leeds and Grenville. Although I just want to double check that, who's just in the midst of implementing one themselves. And there's been several other that have been successfully implemented throughout Ontario. So it does seem to be of interest to similar sized rural, primarily rural municipalities. So that bodes well. And then I apologize, there was two questions there. The other one was.
Just, is it sort of part of a long-term strategy, a short-term, like what's the goal? I'm just thinking, would loyalists be able to put 10,000 of them in households if it was wildly successful?
Yeah, so through your worship. So yeah, this is definitely a fact-finding mission for us. So as you can see from the survey results that were part of the report, there's a lot of varied opinions across the township about what the best solution to source separated organics are. So we very much want to see if this pilot program is successful, can we scale it up? Who is it of interest to? My initial thoughts would be it's primarily more of interest to those in the urban centers that are closer to their neighbors, and people don't want backyard composters because of pests or other reasons like that. Whereas those other opportunities for those in the rural areas, everyone, I myself live rural and have a backyard composter, I'm a big fan of it, but I realize that there's reasons why you wouldn't want that. And then that'll also be weighed against, larger potential programs. So, do we want to look at curbside pickup, but then what are the costs of that, and all those different questions that are associated with that. So this is sort of that first step towards, once we have this pilot program, we can see the results and then judge that against the other options available to us.
Yeah.
So if I could add, it could also include like subsidizing the owners, like depending on if you want to put in most of the homes in the township. Not necessarily the township would provide the food cycle for free, but maybe providing a subsidy for it as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for clarification? Seeing none, the recommendation on the report is that the report from the Engineering and Environment Division, June 26, 2023, Green Food Cycler Pilot Program be received, and the council authorized staff to proceed with the 100 household food cycler pilot program. Do I have a mover? Councilor Pryor, seconded by Councilor Parks. Mover, any comments?
I would just say, your worship, that I heard a lot of people on the campaign trail back in October talking about the need. And I know where I live, we did have a composter, and it became home to the local rats. So we had to give that up. And what we end up doing now is transporting our compost somewhere else. And my only thing is, I would like to see more than 100 in the pilot, but it's a good start. Thank you.
Seconder?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just want to say thanks to staff for bringing this back. I know this came before the previous council as an option. So I'm glad to see it's coming to happen or coming forward to move it forward. My sentiments exactly in regards to composter. There's challenges in the municipal or the urban areas with rodents and all sorts of things. So this, I think, is a great option for people, and even for seniors that may not be able to go out to a composter in the middle of the winter. I think there's a great opportunity for this.
Thank you. Other comments from council? I'm just going to give my 2 cents. I do support it. I've been very interested in this ever since the presentation came to council a little while ago. In fact, right after that, I was contacted by a resident who said that they've used this more in a commercial setting, and that it was a great tool to be able to reduce the waste and take care of the compostable material. So ever since then, I've kind of been watching and the checking out the company. And I think it gives residents some that have interest in it, some options. And as was mentioned, the cost of pickup, that the one thing is distributing the bins, the pickup, and then what do you do with it afterwards with a facility? And this is, I think this is a great option. And also I've heard people that do have green bin options, that they just don't like storing the food waste in their house or in their garage until it's picked up. So this allows them to be able to handle it themselves at the appropriate time when they're comfortable with it. So I think this is a great start and a great pilot project, and I fully support it. So with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion is passed. Resilient Loyalist Township Climate Action Plan report card. Any additional information other than what's on the report?
No, your worship, just questions.
Council, any questions for clarification?
Go ahead.
Councilor Ennis.
Thank you, and through the mayor. In the report in the buildings section, page 16 or 20, under the goals, reduce residential energy usage for retrofitting existing homes, and as well, another goal, develop green building standards for new construction. And it says updates NA. Is just wondering if you could expand on why the updates are.
Through you, your worship. So at this time, there has been no progress made against these goals. They're obviously still there. This is a multi-year, long-term plan, so they are still a goal of ours that we are hoping to achieve. It's just a workload and prioritization at this time.
Just a quick mayor, just a follow-up. I just wonder, have we looked at the Federation of Community Municipalities Green Municipal Fund and the Community Efficiency Financing Program?
Through you, your worship, at this time, I have not. I'm aware of its existence, but it's just, again, it's a workload and prioritization.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for clarification? Councilor Pryor.
Thank you, Worship, and through just sort of to follow up, that was one of my concerns, was there was a lot of NAs in there. Electric chargers, for example, on page 14. Do we have any electric vehicles yet in the townships? That's sort of one thing that I think we need to aggressively look at in terms of the plan. And again, I get hung up on silly little things, I suppose, but again, we only had 14 low flow tap or toilet requests for, I guess, compensation. Very extensive report, and I'm going to go back to my teaching days. I wish you could just do it in one page. Share it, like a resident's probably not going to go through that, but again, maybe even just a highlight package would be appreciated, I think, by residents. And again, smaller targets maybe. And again, it's, as you said, Luke, it's more of a long-term thing, but thank you for the report.
Any other questions for clarification? Seeing none. Recommendation with the report is that the report from the Engineering and Environment Division, June 26, 2023, resilient
Loyalist Township Community Action Plan report card be received for information. Do I have a mover? Deputy Mayor, so moved, seconded by Councilor Bluder. Mover, any comments?
Yeah, only my thanks to staff. Obviously, this particular initiative is something that I was involved in the last term of council, and obviously is something near and dear to my heart. There's a couple of one thing I think to highlight in the report in terms of success is that we had set a goal to plant 20,000 trees in the next 10 years, and we're already above 7,000 since we started. So you know there are lots of achievements and benchmarks that we are making. What I would say, since it's come up that some of the challenges that are posed are due to resources, the council will be reviewing our strategic plan, and certainly my cards on the table. I will continue to to push for our environmental and sustainability priorities to be prioritized in our strategic plan, and potentially more resources allocated to achieving our goals.
Seconder, any comments? Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Cataract Conservation Local Support Services Agreement. Any additional information on this one, or just questions?
Just a question, Your Worship.
Council, any questions for clarification? Seeing none. Did you have a question?
I was just gonna say recommendation.
Okay, I'm just gonna read it quick first. I've just started doing that so that everyone in the, when they watch the YouTube, they actually know what we're voting on. The recommendation is that the report from the Economic Growth and Community Development Services Department, June 26, 2023, read Cataract Conservation Locally Supported Services Agreement be received for information. And moved by Councilor Broderick then? So moved, seconded by Councilor Hess. Mover, any comments?
No.
Seconder? Anyone else? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Disaster Mitigation and Adaptation Fund Municipal Support. Municipal support for application. Any additional information on this one? None? Council, any questions for clarification? Councilor Project.
Through your worship, can I just ask somebody to explain to me the graph on page 5? I've tried to figure it out and I don't know what it means in terms of this.
Through you, Your Worship. Yeah, so I guess
Can we just pick, sorry, can we just pick a point like where the two lines intersect there? Maybe just describe what I'm seeing there.
Yeah, so the intent of the graph is to show the number of months where the water level is at an extremely high. So that intersection is that point on the graph. I guess I can understand the confusion. One of the issues I had with this report from the engineer was that it was 60 megabytes, so I couldn't provide the whole report, but still wanted to provide some context within how the decision making was approached. So that's what the graph is intending to show, but I can understand how that's not presented well in the report.
Okay, so as the blue line moves up, that's the increasing water level.
Yes, the blue line represents the water level frequency, so that's shown as the right hand on the 100%.
So at 100%, there's less of a chance, I guess, or there's less months.
So at 100%, the water level is always going to be above or below 75.2. And at 0%, the water level will be at 76.2, which is the 100-year flood event.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for clarification? Councilor Ennis.
Thank you, through the mayor. Could you just explain a little bit for me the difference between the 5 years and 9 years options?
Through you, your worship. So the two options are presented primarily just to present the contrasting of the risks and the costs associated with it. So obviously, by putting forward a 5-year plan, you end up front loading some of the costs, but you're mitigating the risks that are associated with potential high water events or things like that sooner rather than later. Whereas with the 10-year plan, you're backloading the costs. You have increased risk with things like inflation, or if there's a high water event and something were to happen that were to cause infrastructure to fail or something like that. So those are the two options presented. As the report states, I believe in the cost benefit analysis, it's a situation that's sort of deemed high risk but low probability. It's hard to say when erosion is going to cause the road to fail. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, it could be 50 years. And so that's the intent of those two options, is just to present the different costs and benefits associated with it.
Please proceed.
Just to follow up, so if we put the application forward and it's approved either in the 5 or 9 year option, essentially we're saying in order to make sure we get the funding, if we do it in 5 years, we have to do the actual construction within 5 years. Do it in 9 years, we do the actual construction in 9 years. Is that right?
Yeah, through your worship, you're right. If we were successful with the funding, we would come back to council for pre-budget approval for that, whatever time span council elects.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councilor Parks.
Thank you, through your worship. Historically, over the last kind of 5 to 10 years, there has been a lot of shoreline erosion over in these areas, though, correct?
Through your worship, that's correct.
Councilor Crawford.
Through you, your worship, just one question. So in terms of a grant program that you'd be applying to the Disaster Mitigation Adaptation Fund, is there any advantage to choosing a 5-year versus a 9-year in terms of acceptance, or is it pretty well, it doesn't really matter?
Through your worship, as far as I'm aware, it doesn't matter.
Any other questions for clarification? Councilor Ennis.
Thank you, through the mayor. So when then we put the application forward, let's say it's approved. How I'm trying to get an understanding of when in our budgeting or 10-year capital planning process we would weigh this against all of our other priorities that we have, and then have staff recommend the level of priority versus the rest of the capital spends we have.
Yeah, through your worship. So the budgets could be reviewed at every 10 or every annual cycle. And if council elected not to proceed with the project, we would just be foregoing the funding at that time. So it's just balancing those costs against what the costs of the township would be at a later date.
Thank you. Councilor Willis.
Through your worship, how would this work overlay with the work that's already happening for the road repairs on the island where there was flood damage from previous?
Yeah, through your worship. These project areas are all separate to those areas that are under construction right now.
Any additional questions? Seeing none. The recommendation with the report is that the report from the Engineering and Environmental Division, June 26, 2023, Disaster Mitigation and Adaptation Fund, Municipal Support for Application, be received, and the Loyalist Township Council supported application to the Disaster Mitigation and Adaptation Fund Program for the Amherst Island Shoreline Protection Project, and the project schedule to be used in the grant application shall be for the 5-year timeframe, or the project schedule to be used in the grant application shall be the 9-year timeframe. Do I have a mover for either item 1 or 2? Councilor Ennis.
Thank you, through the mayor. Move to receive and support the application, and on the option 2, the 9-year timeline.
Number 2. So moved, seconded by Councillor Booth. Mover, any comments?
Yeah, through the mayor, I just think it gives us flexibility. As staff outlined, this will, if approved, or if the funding is approved, it will come in the regular budget and capital planning process. And if it needs to be prioritized sooner than later, it can, but if it's the 9 years, then we have flexibility.
You. Seconder, any comments? Anyone else? Councillor Park.
I would just, as Councillor Willis and Councillor Park said, there's certain things that go on, are going on and have gone on, and I'm a big fan of getting infrastructure, or however you want to word it, attacked as aggressively as possible so that we're not dealing with emergency situations. So I would support the motion.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Rockaway Source Protection Area at Large appointment. I'm not sure there's one who can answer them, but are there any questions before we proceed? Councillor Patrick.
I guess it's more of a statement that I also sit on this committee and sat through a couple-hour meeting this morning, and I would support the recommendation as outlined.
So I'll just go ahead and read the recommendation and then we'll get the motion. Council support the appointment of Christy Kelly, the Director of Environmental Services for the Greater Town of Napanee, serving as the area at-large representative for the Cataract Source Protection Committee. And with that comment, you want to?
I would move that.
So moved by Councillor Broderick, seconded by Councillor Willis. Any additional comments? Seconder? Anyone else? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Are there any notices of correct motion this evening? Say none. Any notices? Saying none.
Your Worship.
Yes.
I don't know if I always mess up on this. So to make a comment on 23-1.
Okay, well,
It's coming up. Okay.
yes. And I'm just going to read a little blurb, and then if you want to pull it.
No, I just want to make a
For
comment more than anything.
the purpose of convenience for the expedited meetings, matters of business that are of repetitive and routine nature are included in the consent agenda. All such matters of business contained in the consent agenda are voted on collectively. A particular matter of business may be singled out from the consent agenda for debate for a separate vote upon the request of any councillor. In the case of a separate vote, the excluded matter of business is severed from the consent agenda. Each and every matter of business contained in the consent agenda is recorded separately in the minutes of the meeting. Any items any council member wishes to extract this evening? Seeing none, the recommendation is that the items in the consent agenda dated June 23rd, 2023 be approved as presented and that the necessary action be taken. Do we have a mover? Deputy Mayor, so moved, seconded by Councillor Pryor. Mover, any comments? Seconder?
Just I guess, to communication to the staff, 23-1 really isn't in our jurisdiction. I'm just wondering if our residents who may be close to that will get something going on social media, maybe for that environmental assessment.
And I don't know if there's anyone. Yeah. Director Campbell, let's see, put your hand up.
Sorry, I apologize. If we can certainly do that if that's what council wishes.
With something like this, Altura would have a designated circumference that they would be issuing it to all residents so that they can provide information. And that's a provincially, I believe. Direction, am I correct on that?
That's correct. So the environmental assessment legislation dictates the
communication that's required and a specific area. And then it's sent to the municipality as part of that process as well. So that's why we have received it, and that's why it's put on the agenda for council's attention. If there is, yeah, that's the process generally.
Just to follow up to your worship. So I gather that since the township got it, the residents will have got it that are in that zone.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Extracted. Updates from members appointed to county council, committees, and local boards. Any information on forward? Councilor Parks.
Thank you, Your Worship. I sit on the Loyalist Parkway Association, and they have been working on a plan to install bike repair stations along Loyalist Parkway for people that use the parkway for tours, I guess, bike tours. And they will be investing in 2 for next year. They missed the cutoff for this year to have them installed. They would be installed until October. So I'm anxious to see that happen next year.
Thank you. Any other updates? Seeing none. Members' privilege. Any items brought forward this evening? under members' privilege? Seeing none, I just have a couple myself. Just condolences. I don't believe I caught this one last time. So condolences to the family of Cliff Votry, who is a longtime resident in Amherstview. And also to the family of Betty Grant. Her and her husband were lifetime farmers in the Milton area, very well known, and their family still lives in the Milton village. And condolences to the families of both of them. There's none other. Confirmatory bylaw. I have a motion for the confirmatory bylaw. Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councilor Ennis. All in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Upcoming meeting dates are there, listed for everyone. And motion to adjourn. Do I have a mover to adjourn? Councilor Ennis. So moved, seconded by Councilor Parks. All in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.